Alright, we're back for part 2 of Project Wagon. I was actually just getting ready to convert this guy to Corolla front brakes, but I noticed I've topped this to full a few different times, and driving the car I've smelled coolant and I was like, maybe the heater core's leaking. But just right now I noticed there's a couple drops on the floor. I was like, what the hell? So if we look, you see that coolant right there? Looks like the radiator is finally leaking on this guy. Which if you look at the radiator, I'm not that surprised. So yeah, I'm going to get a radiator and then 2 new radiator hoses ready for this guy. So it looks like I'm taking my truck home tonight. Alright, so to give you guys some context about why I'm doing the Corolla brake upgrade so fast. I knew this caliper was seized. It's not worth it to spend like the 80 bucks and get a reman when I could get much more readily available Corolla stuff and swap all this to Corolla. So I filled up gas yesterday and the calculated miles per gallon was very low, like shockingly low. So I figure, so one good possibility is because this brake caliper is seized and I'm probably losing a bunch of economy and horsepower because of this thing. So to give you guys an idea, that's like all my strength right there, and I can't turn this thing with one hand. So yeah, pro tip, if you see this red, that probably means it's getting too hot. So in this case, the caliper seized, and that red was a good indication. So yeah, let's see how far I can get today. Alright, so I got the struts out on the driver's side. Got the Corolla one right next to it. This is the Corolla top hat. I thought I was gonna have to re-drill the strut tower out to this bolt pattern, but if we take a look, so yeah, it looks like the TE72 and the E86 strut top pattern is the same, which looks out for me because the bearing inside this guy's seized right now. So yeah, I can reuse my original top hats. These guys are still good. Pretty sure the struts are blown in this things, and these came with cut springs, so those went in the recycle. So the plan right now, strut and spring onto the Corolla cases. Yeah, not having to drill that thing out saved a bunch of time, so let's keep going. Alright, got both struts apart. This one's the TE strut. It's funny, both of these had the same KYB shock in them. Luckily, the TE gland nut fits in the Corolla case. The Corolla one's like kind of beat up, so I'm gonna reuse that gland nut. Before I put this casing in, I'm gonna cut this out so that you don't have to disconnect the brake line every time you want to take struts in and out. So I'll leave a cut right here. Yeah, so far so good. Alright, short recap where we are right now. Got the TE strut and spring in there. This is the Corolla strut housing, Corolla brake. I'm about to put the Corolla caliper on. That bolts up. I'm gonna put new wheel bearings in this guy. So these are Corolla hubs, Corolla rotor, ARP Wheel Studs, thank you Battle Garage. So close, but yet so far. Alright, so new bearings. This guy's ready to go. Unfortunately, so this is the Corolla Caliper. I was gonna clean this up and re-loop the slide pins before this thing goes on, but there was no bleeder screw when I got this, and unfortunately you guys can't see it, but the sealing portion inside this bleeder screw is actually rusted up and has rust damage, so that means this caliper is junk. So I'm gonna have to order another caliper. In the meantime, I have this guy to block off the brake line. These are meant to be tools to like isolate brake hydraulic problems, but in this case, this is just so I can roll the car around. So yeah, when we come back, I should buy another reman caliper, get this done on the other side, and yeah, we will be back. We're back again, working on the wagon. So like we talked about last time, I did buy a new reman caliper. So this is it. This was about like 40 bucks from AutoZone. Something I noticed too, I guess for TE guys, Corolla brakes are an upgrade, because if you noticed, they have Corolla brakes have vented rotors, whereas TE rotors are solid. I read somewhere online that the hubs for a TE are actually the same for a Corolla, but hopefully someone can verify that in the comments below, so I don't throw these away or give these away for no reason. So yeah, this guy's ready to go. Got the ARP studs from Battle Garage, and I am going to start on the passenger side, get the Corolla strut and brakes in there. Last time, you guys remember, I found out the radiator was leaking, so I got a brand new Spectra radiator from Rock Auto. Got some new radiator hoses from my local Allied Auto Parts. Cool, got the new hub on, got the wheel bearings adjusted. I'm using this new Amsoil multi-purpose. I think this will hold up better in like a daily driver application than that Dominator race grease. That I think the interval is much shorter with that Dominator race grease. So trying out this red grease this time. If you want to see my video on wheel bearing adjustment and what this tool does, you can check out, it's in the how-to video playlist. These bolts in the back to hold on this dust shield, make sure red Loctite on those guys. I've had those 4 bolts back off before. So yeah, just gotta knock on that dust cap. We'll put the Corolla brakes on. We'll bleed the brakes and we'll come back. Alright, really quick, anytime you do brakes, you should be lubing your caliper slide pins. So on the Corolla calipers, this is part of the caliper, the pins in there, so this whole caliper comes off and you lube the pin. For the bottom part right here, this pin comes out, so you want to take this guy, clean it up, put some lube inside these boots, and then lube this guy too. Make sure you buy the correct temperature, so I'm just going to use the regular caliper pin lube for this since it's just daily driver, but on my track car I'll get a extreme lube, so if you can see, this thing's up to 3,000 degrees. So you're at this point, you got your extended studs installed, you're about to put on your wheel, you hand thread your lug nuts on and try to put them down, and then you realize, oh man, my lug nuts don't go far enough on the stud anymore. If you're in this emergency situation, I'll show you how to take your closed end lug nut and make it an open end lug nut. So here's 2 different examples. This is just an aftermarket spline drive lug nut, and here's like an OEM style, and here's basically what you do. So if you see, you can tell at the end of this it's not fully threaded, So the solution is pretty simple. I'm going to use my cutoff wheel and just cut the top off of this guy and create a open-ended lug nut. And then you can put some touch-up paint or whatever at the end of this just so it doesn't rust, but there's no problem with cutting off the end. If you run into this on like an OEM style, this cap right here is actually really thin. I've busted these off with just a punch and a chisel, but you can also use a cutoff wheel and just cut off the head of this guy. Alright, bleeding brakes. The bleeders on this thing ended up being 1/4 inch SAE size, which is pretty annoying for this being a metric car, but if you're local, I got this German stuff that's really good. Let me know. Alright, cool. Got the brakes blade. It's getting late, so I'm going to call it a night. This thing should be good to go, so I'll drive this home tomorrow. Thank you guys again for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. If you want to see me do anything to this wagon, let me know. I'm open to suggestions. If you'd like to donate to our Patreon, I might do something wild, whatever you want to suggest to this wagon, so I'm definitely open. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks again, you guys.